Hello, everybody. It's 7 o'clock. It's the Absolutely Live interview, and we're on the air. Today, we have a Florida blues artist done good. He's a guy who's been around for quite a while. At least, he's been in Florida for pretty much his whole life. It's a guy named Albert Castiglia. And if you see his name, it's written Castiglia, but don't say Castiglia. It's not the right way. It's Castiglia, damn it. That's how you say it, Castiglia. So I'm going to bring Albert on in just a moment. I was in a band called the Heldorados back in the day, and I think it was like around 2005 or so. And Albert, I remember going to Albert's shows, and I think he came to a couple of our shows maybe. But back in the day, that's before Albert got all this acclaim for his work. So now he's basically like a big blues star in the scene. So I'm excited for him. Seeing a local boy done good. And I wanted to talk to him. So I'm really glad that he agreed to be on the interview today. So I am going to go ahead and send him a join request here. And then we'll start talking to Albert. Hope you guys are doing good. Hopefully he's able to join. As always, I have my trusty hint water right here. If you guys don't know hint water, you got to go to the store and get it. Hint, pineapple, phenomenal. It tastes amazing. So here we go. I sent him a join request. Let's see what's going on here. And we'll see if Albert can join. Albert, just accept that request, okay? It says join. Here we go. Did you get it? Let me send it to you again. There we go. So yeah, we're going to talk to Albert today. It says he's unable to join. Albert, I'm not sure what's going on. It says you're unable to join. So let me do this. You have to be on the page here.
Hello.
Albert.
How you doing, bud?
Good. How are you, man?
It's been a while.
Listen, dude. The Yanks.
Look at that.
I know.
How great minds think alike.
Yeah,
we laid an ass whipping on the Cubs today.
I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you. They're putting an ass whipping on everybody.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, I went to a game last month, and it was when it was before they went on this tear. And it's funny because Tyone pitched today. Yeah. He's like 10-1, and I was at the game that he lost. I was at the game that he lost. They lost to they lost to the Blue Jays.
Yeah, the Blue Jays. Yeah.
And George Springer owned him that day, and I remember they were booing the hell out of him. Boo, Springer, you bum! Get your trash can and everything. Yeah, booing him, and he went like 3 for 4 with a home run and a double against us.
Yeah, but you got to expect that from a guy like him. I mean, he's a good player. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so, with my luck, I expected us to lose. With my luck, I'm a jinx. I'm like Mush from Bronx Tale. Yeah, but it was great. I had a great time, and then they won. Ever since then, they went on a tear. So
it's great to see them. I haven't gone to the new stadium yet. How is it?
I've been there. It's the second time I've been there, and it's okay. It's nice, but I have to admit, Marlins Stadium is a lot nicer.
Really?
It is.
Wow.
It's a great. Have you been to Marlins Stadium yet?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
I love Marlins Park.
Yeah,
I think it's great. And there's nobody there, so there's a chance you might play.
Well, it's funny you say that because when I went there, I actually was able to move up my seat. There's nobody there. I'm one of those people. So hey,
I've been great. I've been very busy. Yeah. Been on the road for a couple of months.
Awesome.
And it's been a whirlwind, and it's just there's no sign of stopping.
That's great. Listen, you've been at it for a long time, man. I was just when I was introducing you, I was saying that I don't know if you remembered when I was in the Heldorados, and that's how.
Of course I do.
Yeah. Okay.
That was a great band.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, wasn't around for that long, but we had a good time. It was a good band.
It was a fun band.
Yeah, yeah, we had a
Yeah.
good time. But yeah, I remember you from back then, and then of course when I was in Bobby and the Renegades, I think you came to a couple of our shows
Yes.
where you
Yes, I
played field.
did. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
so
Yeah, I think it's important to go out and support artists on the scene.
it is.
And those were some great bands you were in.
Thank you, man. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
man.
And seeing
What
you
did I say?
live,
I remember seeing you, Bobby and the Renegades, at in
Shenanigans.
Hollywood at a bar. I think it was in Hollywood.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, you're right. We had high
Yeah.
hopes for the IBC, and we didn't even place the very
Well,
next day.
the IBCs is a tough, man. It's a tough nut to crack,
It is.
and the list of people that lost is far more, how do you say, far more distinguished than the people that won. If you think
Right.
about it, I mean, Michael Burks didn't win it.
I know.
Susan Tedeschi didn't win it.
Yep. It's crazy.
I lost to Zach Harmon in the semifinals.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought we had a really good show, and then Zach came on, and it was over before it started. He had this fly band; they were wearing the fly suits,
Yeah.
and it was just a real tight outfit they had, and it's like, man,
Yeah. Man,
maybe we
like,
got a shot, but but you
feel
just
like,
never know what's going to happen,
yeah, you go
So,
in and you feel like you have your set all mapped out, and you're doing your original songs, and you're working hard at it. And, there's no, there's I don't know. It just doesn't make sense sometimes, but that's all right. It happens.
it's not supposed to. I mean, you kind of rely on what has to work in your favor is you got to get the right group of judges
Yeah.
in your particular venue that
Yeah,
like you, and I fell short, but later on, like the next day, I was at the New Daisy Theater for the final or the semifinals or something, I can't remember, or for the finals, and I was in the bathroom taking a leak, and Bill Wax was in the stall, and the Bill Wax from XM Radio was in the urinal next to me. And he introduced himself while we were peeing. I didn't shake. We didn't shake. I said, "Hey, nice to meet you."
Yeah.
And he said, "I was one of the judges. I thought you were great. And do you have a CD?" And I gave him a CD. As soon as I zipped up, I grabbed the CD and I handed it to him.
Yeah.
And he played it. He played my first record. About a week later, he played a track from that record, and then he didn't play anything after that, but anything from that record.
Wow.
Until I put out my next album.
Yeah.
Stone's Throw, and then he played the hell out of that one.
Wow. That's
So
awesome.
there's a lot of value in entering the IBCs. You get a lot of exposure, even though you might not win.
Yeah.
I didn't do it after that because I'm not much of a contest person. I'm not into that thing.
Yeah.
I there's only so much rejection I can take.
Yeah. No doubt.
I've never found the whole thing about entering contests all that appealing.
Yeah.
And I hate being a judge even more. I had to judge one of those contests at the Guitar Center once, and I remember having this kid who did really good. He played his heart out, but he just wasn't ready yet. And I remember him not winning, and
Yeah.
And I felt really bad for him, and I had to corner him out in the parking lot and tell him, "Hey,
You were great.
you're going to be ready. You're great. But the other guy was a little more seasoned, but just keep doing it." But I felt awful.
Yeah.
I felt awful afterwards. So I refuse to be a judge on any of those contests.
But it's like you're saying, man. That's that rejection. Being a performer, you have to have a hard skin. You got to have a tough skin. You're going to get rejected at times.
Oh,
That's just what it is, man. Last week I had JP on, and or a couple. What was it, last week or the week before? I had JP on, and he was telling me about. I know that he won, but I know that he was in it also a couple of years prior to that, and he was talking about that, how he got beat, a couple of years prior to that, in 2 years in a row, and then the third year he just threw his hands up and said, "You know what? We're just going to go and have fun. We're just going to do our set, and if we place or whatever, that's cool. If not, that's cool too." And they wound up winning. You know what I mean? So I guess he, that third time was a charm for him. But
yeah, if you just never know what's going to happen, but you just have to have the right mindset.
Yeah,
I know some people on the scene that enter it, and they enter it year after year after year, and they lose year after year, and they get so distraught after it. I'm like, why do you keep doing it then?
right, exactly.
If you're going to do it, have the right mindset. If you're not going to have the right mindset, then don't enter it, which is me. That's me. I just didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
But it worked out for a lot of our local guys. You know, JP did very well, and Joey Gilmore won it. Joey Gilmore won it twice.
Yes, he did.
In a way, right. You know, he kind of won and then got disqualified and said, all right, screw you. And then he entered it again and won it the following year and won it outright.
Yeah.
So we've done very well locally. We really made
representing.
Yeah, we have. The South Florida scenes are really, really good. Just the Florida scene in general is a great scene, and we've got some really good talent down here.
You've gone around the entire state. I mean, how do you feel about certain parts of the state? Like, are certain parts a lot better seen than others, or what?
For sure. I mean, there's pockets.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure if I went to let's say Eustis or someplace like that, or I mean, I'm sure there are little towns that have never heard of us. But I mean, by and large, it's great. But you know, look, we got the southeast Florida. You know, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach. We got that sewn up. Yeah. Then you go down. Now you're in Cape Coral now, right? Is that where you're at?
Yep.
So you got that Southwest Florida scene.
Yeah.
And that west side of the state going, everything from Fort Myers on up to, or Naples on up to Tampa going on, man. With Selwyn and Damon and Sean Chambers.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then you know, there's a lot to offer. And now you go further up north, there might not be as much happening, but you know, I think the state is so huge.
Yeah, it's huge.
But there's a lot. We're being represented everywhere on the sea. Oh, and you go up to Jacksonville, and you got you got Tedeschi Trucks.
That's right.
And the Allman family, you know, up there representing in Jacksonville. So there's a lot going on, man.
Yeah, man.
In Florida, I'm pretty proud to be here.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. And when you go around other parts of the country, where have you noticed they have a nice blues scene going? You know, like as you've traveled around.
Well,
I mean, it's going to be the
Chicago.
Yeah,
Chicago's always got a great thing. I was part of that scene for 5 years.
Yeah,
and they're very consistent. Man, you know, they're just man. I'm drawing a blank right now, but
okay.
Well, geez, you know, New England's got some great stuff going on. You know, there's great stuff going on in New England.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, you know, there's stuff happening. Geez,
people might not think the blues is you know, kind of. Some people think the blues is kind of a dead you know, genre of music, but it's not. It's really not. If you really look around, you'll find some serious blues. You know.
Yeah, it's everywhere, and it's kind of the blues is just kind of like this. You know, it's steady.
Yes.
Yeah, it's never. You know, it's never going to reach mainstream.
Right.
Heights.
Top 40. Yeah. Right.
Right. I mean, but that's why what I signed up for. You know.
Yeah.
And that's what I think. That's what. And if anybody has, you know, has designs on going mainstream with this, and they don't, well, don't blame anybody because don't get mad.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta keep everything in perspective.
No kidding.
You gotta, you know, my whole idea since I was in high school, all I ever wanted to be was a blues musician.
Yeah.
And I had modest goals. You know, I just want make enough to support my family, have a nice little house.
Yeah.
And pay the bills.
Exactly.
And to me that's what success is. Now and sometimes I've gone beyond that. Sometimes I've been right on par with it.
Yeah.
And it's been fun, you know, but you gotta if you're out to be a star in this business, you're in it for the wrong reasons.
Well, yeah, of course.
You know, you're not. Well, there are some people that actually, they're in it thinking that they're going to take it to this whole American Idol kind of level. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with the
and then they get all disappointed because things don't happen right away. We got it's a very instant gratification kind of world we live in now, and the blues is the last place for you to be digging that kind of mentality, you know.
No kidding. When you mentioned before when you were, when you first started, you knew you wanted to be in the blues. Like, when did it first start for you? Like, how old were you when you first started? I like to ask a lot of my guests that, like, how old were you? Because a lot of people have
But
the same answer. Like, I know that I always wanted to do this. JP had the same answer. I think Jason Ricci had the same answer. You know, everyone's got an answer that is very similar. Like, I started when I was a kid, and I knew this was
we're all middle class white kids. That's why we all have the same,
yeah, right.
you know. No, I first got into guitar when I was 12. My uncle and his buddy used to have little weekly jams at my grandmother's house,
Oh yeah,
and I used to witness it. It was guitar and drums. It was just him and his friend playing guitar and drums. It was like Black Keys before Black Keys, but really bad. Not very good. Not very good. But it was intriguing to me, and they were doing a lot of classic rock stuff, and so that's what got me into it was the classic rock stuff, of course. I mean, how else does a middle class kid from Miami get into the blues? You know,
yeah,
there's a gateway drug,
yep,
and it's rock and roll.
yep,
So I started listening to the stuff my uncle listened to. He was listening to the Stones and the Beatles and Dylan and Hendrix and Grand Funk Railroad.
yeah.
And
All good stuff.
and then and that's how I got into playing guitar. It was through rock. And then as I got older, I started hearing about the blues. I was like 15. I had this album by Eric Clapton called Just One Night.
Mm-hmm.
It was a double live album, and like half the tracks were like blues covers.
Yeah,
And I was like, man, this shit is awesome.
yeah,
This is what is this? He breaks into Early in the Morning, a Junior Wells song, and then he does Double Trouble by Otis Rush, and Rambling on My Mind by Robert Johnson, and Further On Up the Road by Bobby Bland. There was another one. There was another song. I can't remember. There was a ton of blues stuff on this record, and that's what piqued my interest. So I bought a B.B. King record after that.
mm-hmm.
And then I bought
Yeah.
I bought a Blues Breakers album, and then I was like on the edge of 16, and I went to my local record store, Sounds of Music Records in Coral Gables,
Mm-hmm.
and I looked for a Muddy Waters album, and the only one they had was on a cassette, and it was the Heart Again album,
Mm-hmm.
and it was produced by Johnny Winter,
Yeah.
and I remember popping that cassette when I got home and hearing Muddy's booming voice a cappella. And there's this a cappella intro in Mannish Boy.
Yeah,
And it's just
right.
him.
Yes.
And it scared the shit out of me. I hid under the bed. I barely got past puberty. And so this thing scared me. This shit scared me. And this happened in the mid-'80s. We're talking about the early to mid-'80s.
Yeah.
When music really wasn't at its... I mean, there was good stuff. I was listening to hard rock and stuff, but there wasn't a lot of great music of substance being created that really grabbed me. The pop stuff was being force-fed through terrestrial radio, and Springsteen was great. He was deep, but there wasn't a lot of depth coming out of the 80s.
Right.
And then I heard Muddy's voice for the first time.
Yeah.
And just going, whoa, yeah, just going like that, and then there was a call and response with I believe it was Johnny's guitar, and then the band comes in, and that was the freshest shit I ever heard. Even though the album itself was about 5 or 6 years old,
Yeah.
and the music was old school. Man, that stuff sounded fresh to me.
Yeah.
And that was the day I knew what direction I wanted to go with in my life.
That's awesome.
I flirted with playing music, thinking about playing music for a living, but didn't know what direction I was going to go in. I really didn't. As much as I love rock and roll, man, guys didn't want to be in bands with me. I didn't look good in spandex. I had a little flat ass, and I couldn't wear spandex, and my hair didn't grow. I didn't have long flowing hair.
Mm-hmm.
It was the opposite. It went up. I looked like Lindsey Buckingham and Eraserhead had a kid, that would have been me in 1985. My hair went up, so I had no look. I looked like Art Garfunkel. That's what happened when my hair would grow. It
just fro out.
It was awful, and so I didn't fit in. And I felt like I was an alienated kid. Anyway, I felt like I didn't fit in with anybody anyway. And then I heard that Muddy album for the first time.
Yeah.
And that spoke to me. It spoke to me. I felt I listened to the lyrics and I really paid attention to what this album was about. It was about one man's struggle against the world.
Yeah.
And him dealing with it like a man and getting through it. And I really, it really appealed to me. I was just a 15-year-old kid who grew up in the suburbs, but I was very sensitive. I was a very sensitive kid, and I didn't have a lot of friends, and I felt I didn't, to me the music spoke to me, yeah. And that's when I decided I wanted to play the blues and be a blues musician. And I was about 16 years old when I heard that record.
Did you get lessons, or you just started playing?
I listened. I listened to records. I never took lessons. I was too. I remember years earlier when I was a kid watching a kid take piano lessons, and I remember the piano teacher. I just peeking through the door in his classroom, and the piano teacher was a real prick. He was smacking the kid's hands when she wasn't arching her hand properly, and I was like, man, I don't want to. I just want to do this myself. Yeah. So I think it stuck with me, and I just found myself learning myself, just listening to records. We didn't have YouTube,
right,
and stuff like that. So I just listened and did the best I can. I did the best I could to replicate what was being played, and it was fun learning, and I just love, I still love the blues to this day. The old stuff is what got me into it, and even though my sound has evolved a little bit, and I play with a little bit more of an edge.
Yeah,
my soul is in the deep, real stuff.
Yeah, for sure. You can hear that too when you're listening to your music. I've been listening to your music a lot as of late because I wanted to make sure that I knew, what I was talking about music. But yeah, like you're saying, it has
better late than never.
No. I've always listened to your stuff.
I'm messing with you.
I've always listened to your stuff.
Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, you could tell that you've evolved with your sound for sure, especially on the most recent album that you put out. It's really good stuff, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And I've been listening to it a lot when I'm working and stuff. I listen to it, so it's really good, and I enjoy it. And I love that you are a blues guy. I love that you think about or that you came up with, like, hearing about Muddy and you wanted to get into it and stuff. Like, who are some other influences on you other than Muddy? I mean, obviously you're a guitar guy, so you had to have some sort of guitar influence.
Oh, Buddy Guy.
Yeah.
I think Buddy is my favorite all-time blues guitar player. Johnny Winter, Freddie King.
For sure.
But there were, like I said before, it was the classic rock that got me into this stuff. Jimmy Page is definitely an influence. But definitely, once I heard that Muddy record, then I started buying nothing but blues records, and it was Howlin' Wolf and Muddy and Buddy and Buddy Guy and Junior Wells and Otis Rush and Luther Allison.
Oh yeah.
Like if you were to set like a Mount Rushmore of guitar, like if whether you like my playing or not, there are 5 players that you can listen that you can blame for how I play. It's definitely Clapton.
Yeah.
But then there's Buddy Guy, there's Luther Allison, Johnny Winter, Freddie King, and Jimmy Page.
Yeah. Wow. Awesome.
They just played with this ragged glory, I guess you could describe how they play. I mean, they're reaching for stuff.
Yes.
And sometimes when they reach, they might hit something that unorthodox or something you might not understand.
Yeah,
But the fact that they're reaching really shines through in their playing.
for sure.
And those are the kind of players I like. I like aggressive players that take chances.
Yeah.
I like the pretty players too, but I think the raw guys are the ones that appeal to me the most.
Yeah, I had a friend a while ago. We used to listen to Led Zeppelin back in the day, and he would always tell me how sloppy Jimmy Page played, and I didn't think so. You know, I said it's not that he's sloppy; it's just that he's just a different type of player. You know, he's just a different type of player, and like you're saying, he's reaching for those.
He's reaching.
Yeah, he's reaching for those notes.
He's taking a chance. He's walking a tightrope, man.
It's all
semantics. I've heard that too. I've heard that sloppy reference.
Yeah.
I think Jakey Lee from Ozzy's band made that reference to him in an interview not too long ago. Hey, you could call it that, but I call it, a guy who's just reaching, taking chances,
stuff, and he wants to emulate
in the middle, in the midst of the song.
Yeah,
and there are some people that are just comfortable just having set motifs in what they're going to play.
Yeah,
but none of these guys, all these guys just went out and they were just visceral and raw and didn't know what they were going to do next.
Yeah.
And Stevie Ray was that way, but he was really, he never missed.
No, he reached.
But I mean, I just love those guys that took chances, and that's who appealed to me the most. Those players growing up, and still do to this day.
No, you can tell. I mean, if you really sit and listen to your stuff, you can hear some of that, especially on the most recent record. It's I hear it. You know, I hear what you're saying regarding that. I mean, but you know what? You have a nice. You're kind of. You're not sloppy. You're not sloppy. you're not sloppy.
I can live. It's live. I can be.
Oh,
I mean, that's when I take the most chances is live. You know, the studio it can be very restrictive, right. and that's a good thing,
right?
You know, you have to have a slightly different approach in the studio than you do live.
Yeah, but
that's you're in the studio. You're gonna record this for all eternity.
Yes,
and you got to live with that. So you gotta have a certain degree of control when you're in the studio.
Yeah.
So
is that your mindset?
And I've been fortunate to have really good producers that have reined me in. Like Zito and Mike Zito and I work really well together. I think this might be our 5th record together, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. And so he'll tell me flat out, like, okay, that's not I have to redo that but
reel it in.
Yeah, if I don't come off sloppy, just because I don't come off sloppy on the record, don't mean I ain't sloppy.
That's all right. Listen, when it's live, it's a whole different dimension.
Right?
It really is. There was somebody before Burning Bridges. Leah said that she threw on Burning Bridges and she's singing along. Leah's
awesome. Leah's a great singer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Is that Leah McIntosh, ain't it? That's Leah McIntosh, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome.
I think at the end of the month or next month, I'm interviewing her.
Oh, she's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Burning Bridges is like, the last couple of years were kind of tough on everybody, particularly musicians.
Yes.
I think musicians and people in the gig industry, people working in bars and stuff, they took the worst hit of all.
Absolutely.
But so I wrote, what I had to say was about, what I went through the last couple of years. And part of what I had to go through the last couple of years was being at home more and being forced to be on social media more.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a lot going on. So I was on the computer more often than I'd wanted to. And I got to see a lot more of the vitriol and the hatred than I was used to seeing because I wasn't on it as much when I was touring.
Yeah.
And it was ridiculous, it didn't matter what the topic was, but it was in particular, it was toward the vitriol was towards musicians.
Yes.
There was a lot of, friends of mine were taking a beating unnecessarily for like either, for like they're right. There's been this debate in the last couple of years that's been picking up steam about who should be playing music, who should be playing blues. Whether white players should be playing blues or who should be, And so I saw a lot of friends of mine who've devoted their whole life to their whole lives to this music and preserving it and keeping it alive, getting ripped.
Yeah.
So Burning Bridges was kind of like a response to social media trolls and chicken shit fuckers that hide behind computers and tap their little hatred against people. And that's kind of, there were a couple of songs that were actually inspired by that. And that was one of them. And it was about cutting people out of your life that are just negative overall. And it doesn't have to be restricted to social media, just in general. Yeah. When you cut negative people out of your life, you feel a lot lighter.
Oh, you
and
really
boy, I felt good when I did the unfriend and the unfollow button, man. It felt very liberating, and I found myself a lot lighter, and just it reduced the exposure to negative people.
For sure.
And that's what Burning Bridges is about.
Yeah.
You're burning bridges. Yeah. Normally that term would be have a negative connotation. In this case, it's a tongue-in-cheek thing, and it's really a good thing in this respect. You got to get rid of the negativity, and you got to get rid of negative people in your life, and that's what being on Facebook for the last couple of years has done for me. It's forced me to be on it less, and just limit it to, letting people know where I'm going to be playing, and just trying to be positive.
Right.
I myself got caught up in it.
Yeah.
We all do. That's the thing about the negativity and how powerful it is when it's being harnessed in a social media type platform. It's easy to get caught up in that shit, and you find yourself being part of the problem.
Yeah.
So I tried not to be part of the problem, and then I tried to distance myself from negative people, and that's what the whole song is about.
Yeah, sometimes you have to do that. I mean, in order to keep your own sanity, and keep your own focus, you've got to do that. You got to cut people off sometimes, and it's just how it is.
And you wonder why you were even friends with these people on Facebook to begin with. You're like, why do I even know this person?
Right.
I mean, there was a guy a few months ago who accused me of being a millionaire while demonizing millionaires. I had gotten mad about something. I got mad about it's funny, we're wearing Yankees garb, but they had the lockout a few months ago, and I was pissed off.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's great. Billionaires suing millionaires, locking out millionaires, and the average Joe gets screwed.
Right.
It's pretty much what I said. And some guy goes, well, you're a millionaire, you hypocrite. And I go, what are you talking about? I'm a millionaire.
Really?
And I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? And he just wouldn't let up. And I said, dude, I'm barely a thousandaire. What are you talking about? And then somebody told me, actually, my drummer's girlfriend had looked up on Facebook. I Googled my name and found that there was a website saying that I was worth $13 million.
Wow.
And apparently, I made my fortune doing work with 50 Cent.
Oh, wow.
But this guy wouldn't let. I found that out afterwards, I think. After I was having this encounter with this douchebag, and he wouldn't stop. I'm like, you know what? I know who I am. I had it with you. You need to go, you need to get a life. And I just cut him off.
Yeah.
And you just got to cut these people out, man.
Yeah, sometimes you have to. Even if it's people that are close to you at one time, you just got to cut them out.
Yeah.
Even if it's family, you cut them out. Listen.
Oh, man, you got to, even family.
Yeah, it's not.
I got family that, I wouldn't pee on their head if their hair was on fire. I really would.
I'm the same way. I feel the same way.
I mean, I love you. That's how, as far as family goes, I love them, but some of them I don't like.
Yeah. And nobody said you had to like any of your family, right? You're stuck with them. And so it is what it is. But
there's always going to be that love. There's never going to be that like.
Yeah. That's
with
true.
some of them.
Yeah. That's totally true. Unfortunately, I was forced to do that. I didn't force my hand. They forced my hand. You know what I mean? So
it happens.
It happens, man. And you have to just be willing to put up with it and just say, listen, you're out of here. In order for my life to be better, you have to be removed. And that's it.
That's all.
Yeah.
That's all. just keep a distance and focus on the members in your life that matter.
That's right.
I've been very fortunate. I found out a few years ago that I got a daughter and two grandkids.
Wow.
That I didn't know, and they've just kind of added to my life.
Great.
So it's like, the negative part, the people in my family that are negative and want to hurt me or my mother or my father.
Yeah.
They don't matter, because what really matters is your immediate family.
That's right.
And that's all that matters.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm done. I'm just rambling.
Speaking of your immediate family, I saw on Instagram it was your mom's birthday a couple days ago. So happy birthday to you, Mom.
It was yesterday, June 11th.
Awesome. Did you go celebrate with her?
No, unfortunately, I could not.
That's all right.
But I called her.
Good.
She lives down in Miami, and I just got home from the road, and so we talked, and she wasn't ready for me to come down.
Yeah. Where are you living now? Are you?
I live in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, okay. So you're out in the area.
Yeah, my parents live down in Coral Gables in Miami.
Yeah, that's good, man.
But I just got home from the road and stuff, and I don't know if I brought any cooties from Europe, and I just gotta. So I'll see him. I'm gonna go see him next week.
How was Europe? How did you enjoy it?
Europe was great.
Yeah. How's the
I love
scene
Europe
over there? I've heard that they have like fanatical people over there with the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They appreciate it a lot over here.
Yeah.
They're not. Not like. It depends on the venue, but if you're in a supper club or in a blues in a club, they're very reserved, but they're listening.
Yeah.
And boy, you get out the festival situation; those people are crazy. I mean, me and Nick Schneblin and I did a festival in Schopingen, Germany, outside of Munster, and we did a festival on the last day of the tour. And it was raining, and they knew normally they get about like between 5,000 and 10,000 people at this festival, but there was a lot of rain, and so it was like a third of that, and there was about 1,500 people in on it, and those people went crazy. They were dancing in the rain. It was raining, and we were still playing, and it was like Woodstock, man, and those people were going crazy.
Yeah.
No, I love Europe, man. I love being able to go out there every once in a while.
Yeah.
The travel's hell.
Yeah.
But that's, I think everybody should travel once in their life. I mean, truly do a travel. I think the world would be. I think if we had we'd have a greater understanding of one another if everybody just traveled.
Yeah.
Because there's an unnatural fear of one another. This world has a lot of fear. People fear us. We fear them. I think if we did some traveling,
yeah,
you realize that, although we're different, in a lot of ways, we're not much different.
Yeah.
And they're just, and we had a great time. I was in Switzerland for most of that trip. I was in Switzerland.
How was Switzerland?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
We played in Basel, which is in a corner of Germany, corner of Switzerland that borders with Germany and France. Actually, the Basel airport is actually in France.
Oh, wow.
In Mulhouse, on the other side, just over the border. And Germany is just a few miles away. Yeah. And the Rhine River runs through it. And it's just this beautiful city. Art Basel, the festival, and they have the art festival in Miami Beach. They're based out of, the people that put it on are based out of Basel.
Oh, wow.
Switzerland. Yeah. They have an amazing arts community there. Bunch of great arts, museums. And,
awesome.
Just great food. They feed the hell out of you, though, and I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to take it easy with my cholesterol, and they just fed us too damn much. Every day they fed us. We ate Italian food every day.
Oh, nice.
The promoter, Patrick, you got a schedule, and you got to go by a schedule, and we got to get up at noon. I sleep late. I go to bed at 3:30 in the morning, and I wake up at 11:30.
Yeah.
And then, but he's like, you got to be up, and we got lunch at 1 o'clock. And we got to eat every day at the same restaurant. We eat Italian food every day.
Wow.
And it's my favorite restaurant in town. But, man, every day.
What are some of your favorite places, across the pond? What are some of the places that you like to go to in Europe?
Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Is wonderful. Hamburg, Germany. might be my favorite city in Germany to go
Oh,
to.
really?
Vienna, Austria,
Yeah.
amazing, breathtaking. Oslo, Norway, incredibly breathtaking.
Really?
They got this beautiful park in Oslo, this huge park, and there's this famous sculptor named Vigeland, and he does these sculptures, and they're all based upon the theme of the human condition.
Mm.
So what you have are these sculptures of naked bodies, not pornographic, just and portraying the human condition. So like there's the sculpture of birth
Oh,
and the child, and so they got this sculpture of a baby in the fetal position,
wow.
and then they got a sculpture of the father holding the baby,
Huh.
and it just progresses up until death. And then they got this huge, breathtaking sculpture that like looks like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, which I would imagine represents death. There's like all these bodies huddled, stacked up. It's just a breathtaking place to be. Yeah, just there's so much out there to look to see.
And how long
Man,
were you
and
there in Europe?
I wasn't there very long. I mean, I've been going there off and on since 1997,
Uh,
but this last stretch, I had just gotten off the road with Mike Zito for 2 months.
yeah.
We're doing this Blood Brothers tour together,
Yeah. How's it
and
going?
that's going well. That's going extremely well. We're gonna be doing that tour off and on for the next couple of years.
Awesome.
We're going into studio in September, and Joe Bonamassa and Josh Smith are going to produce our album.
Awesome. Yeah, they've been doing a lot of producing lately.
They are, and they're doing our thing in September.
How did you arrange that? Just because you know
Mike's very close with Joe,
Okay.
and they were talking, and Mike said, "Yeah, how's it going? I'm going in the studio in September. I got a project going. Would you want to do it?" And then Joe said, "Well, what's it all about?" And he said, "Well, me and Albert are doing this tour as the Blood Brothers," and
Yeah.
he was like, "I'm in. Let's do it."
Awesome.
And so he and Josh are partners. They're joined at the hip, and
Yeah.
Josh is a tremendous musician
Oh yeah.
and arranger.
Yep.
And it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to
He's phenomenal.
taking it to another
I'm
level.
so happy with the way that Josh's career has turned out for him. I mean, I remember him. I'm sure you do too. When he was this little boy carrying this big ass guitar, his big ass
Yeah,
Fender,
I do. I do.
right over to the gigs. It's like, okay, the guitar's bigger than him.
I do. I remember I was at the Musicians Exchange.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I remember seeing
boy, but his playing has evolved
Oh yeah,
to the point where he's just so scary.
yeah. He is
One of the scariest. The way he works in this jazz and chicken picking into his blues is just it's quite phenomenal. He's a phenomenal talent.
It really is. Yeah.
I'm very proud of him.
Yeah. Same here. From being down in the scene back in the day where I saw him, where we saw him as a kid, and you see him now, and he's unbelievable. He's like a font of the guitar, man. He just knows everything about guitar. He knows everything about everything there is to know. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. I don't have if I had a fraction of his knowledge, I'd be better off.
Yeah. So you guys are going in the studio to do that. That's going to be awesome, man. I can't wait to hear that. That'll be sick.
Yeah, I can't wait to find out what we're going to do. We're still writing stuff.
Yeah.
I wrote a couple songs on the road.
Yeah.
You get a lot of inspiration from the road, and so I wrote a couple of tunes, but we're still in the infancy stages.
Yeah.
But Mike is, of the two of us, Mike is the like I kind of compare us to the Rat Pack, and like he's like Sinatra.
Yeah.
And I'm Dean Martin, and he's just like he's the very proactive guy, and he's like, all right, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do that, and this is what we're gonna do, and I'm just I'm sitting in the hot tub with the martini, saying, let's go, whatever you say, Daddy, let's go. Where we going? Where we going, Pally?
That's right.
It's pretty much how it is, and so I just kind of follow his lead, but I'm creating, constantly trying to write, so that I can send him stuff, and eventually the stuff will get to Joe and Josh.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll find some of the stuff valid.
When you're writing, where do your inspirations come from when you write? That just life in
It
general?
just comes from life.
Yeah.
It really does. You know, I can't. There's some people that could just write about anything. They could look at this coffee mug and then just write something about it.
Yeah.
And I have to be inspired,
Right.
by what's going on, good or bad or otherwise, by life. It's got to be something. It's got to be life driven.
Yeah.
For me to write.
All your own personal experiences,
Exactly.
or do you watch other people?
Well, it could be other people too.
Yeah.
It could be other people. I mean, I'm on the road with two other people in the band, and they go through struggles.
Yeah, for sure.
And I witness what they've gone through.
Yeah.
And I get inspiration from that as well. And I have. There's a few songs that I've written that were inspired by other members of the band.
Yeah. Do you tell them that or no?
Oh no, I wouldn't tell them.
Yeah. I understand. I get it. I totally get it.
Why? I don't know. I don't know how they take it.
Yeah. Yeah, some people get a little squirrely about that. Oh, I wrote a song about you. Really? Why? Like, no, it's nothing bad. It is what it is.
I used to, sometimes when I'd have one of the many bitter breakups that I'd have. Of course, with my wife, I don't have these problems anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm going to immortalize you in song, woman. I like to say shit like that. And but they turned out to not be all that great when I wrote them. But so you got to pick your themes wisely, and it's gotta come from here, or else it'll never work.
For sure. Do you get inspired, like when let's say you go into the studio and you have a group of songs that you're ready to record? Do you get inspired by just that process? And have you ever written something like just in the studio, just off the cuff?
Yeah,
right.
It happened once.
Yeah.
Once or twice. I remember one instance where we had a Sonny Landreth played on one of my records.
Uh-huh.
I bet Sonny Landreth at the Funky Biscuit, and we opened up for him, and we hit it off, and it turned out that I had recorded 2 or 3 of my albums at a studio that was near where he lived in Louisiana, like the next town over, and he used to record there.
Huh.
So we were talking over some wine, and I said, "Yeah, maybe you could play on my next record." I was just kind of like, a little buzzed on wine, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm going in the studio in a couple months. Maybe you could play on it." He goes, "Oh, I sure would." And I'm like, "You're full of shit. You're not gonna." No, I'm serious. And he knew Mike, and Zito was my producer then, and he was very close to Mike. The next day, I guess he did a festival with Mike in Clearwater, and I got a text from Zito the next day saying, "Hey, I just ran into Sonny, and he's going to be a guest on the record." So comes the week of the record, and Mike couldn't get a hold of him, and we thought we were going to just put him on one of those songs that we had already recorded. Like the session goes by, and we couldn't get a hold of him. So it was like, oh, maybe he just got busy, no big deal.
Yeah.
And the last day of recording, he called Mike, or he texted Mike or something. He said, "Look, hey man, I'm really sorry I got tied up in South America, but I still want to play this on this record."
That's awesome.
So lay down a track and I'll play over it, and I'll record it in my studio.
Nice.
And so Mike and I were like, "What are we gonna do? Like we already laid all the tracks down. Where are we gonna fit them in?
Yeah.
In any of these songs that we already recorded?" So I had written a song that I hadn't brought to the table. I had not brought to the table on the record. It was sitting in the can.
Yeah.
An idea, and it was a song about a drive I had to make with the band from DC to Miami. We had to leave right after our Sirius XM live session, and we had to drive. We had to leave right away because there was a hurricane threatening the coast of Jacksonville.
Oh wow!
And if we timed it right, we could beat the hurricane.
Huh.
And so I had written a bunch of lyrics, but I didn't have music. So I right on the spot, I I said, okay, Sonny Landreth's playing on this record, and I got these lyrics, and then somehow the music just came. I thought Sonny Landreth,
awesome
song about a hurricane, driving down 95.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then the song, the music started to flow, real driving kind of groove. And I came and me the band and I just laid the track down, and I sang over it, and I left. I think it might be the only song I never soloed on in my life on a record.
Wow.
I just bequeathed the solo to the great one. and we left the space for Sonny on it.
Awesome.
And that was on the spot. I had lyrics that just sat, but I didn't have music, and we had to come up with music really fast if we wanted Sonny Landreth to be a part of it.
Wow.
And that was enough inspiration for me to come up with the music, and it became the song became 95 South. It's on my Up All Night record.
Awesome. That's great, man.
So it happens, man. Those kind of things happen.
Yeah. No kidding. That's pretty cool. Awesome. And how did Sonny feel about it after he heard it?
He said he liked it.
Yeah.
We I text him on his birthday. I'd say and we don't talk much. I try not to bother him.
Yeah.
But I thanked him for laying the track down, and he said, "Man, thanks a lot. It was a great track. I really enjoyed playing it."
That's cool.
And then I ran into him a year later at a festival, and he said he never got a CD, so I gave him a copy of it.
Oh, that's nice. I just wanted to tell you too. Thanks. No, congratulations on your BMA victory.
Thank you.
No problem.
That was quite a surprise.
Yeah. How did you feel about that when that happened? Holy shit!
I felt really good. I mean, well, I didn't think I was going to win.
Yeah.
Because the list of nominees was very impressive. We had Tommy Castro, Tinsley Ellis, and then there was Joanne Shaw Taylor and Anna Popovich.
Wow.
Were the other two. So I thought right away it was either going to be Tommy or Tinsley. I thought, they've been around a long time. Tommy like shit statues.
Yeah.
Like he's like, yeah. He's got like a billion of them.
Yeah.
Like I think he uses them as doorstops at this point. I don't even know if he puts them on his
bored
shelf.
with them at this point.
But so I was like, I don't think I'm gonna win. But then the night before the show, I'm at the Rum Boogie on Beale Street. I'm doing a showcase fundraiser for autism at the Rum Boogie, and I had my friends play. And Johnny Rawls was there. He's one of the artists that sat in, and he said, "Man, you gonna win." And I said, "Hey, I ain't gonna win, man. You crazy? I ain't gonna win." "No, man, you gonna win." I said, No. Tommy's got that song. He goes, man, you're the man now. I go, what? I go, whatever, dude, whatever. And then we're hanging out, and then there's the awards. Sitting at the awards, and then Mike won for Blues Rock Album of the Year.
Oh yeah, that's right. He won. Yep.
He won for Blues Rock Album, and I'm thinking, well, Mike and I have similar fan bases. Maybe I have a shot at this.
Yeah. And
then a bunch of bands played. I'm like, man, I hope they get to my category soon. I start getting antsy. I didn't get antsy until Mike won.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wanted to get now. You're at the point where you just want to get it over with. And then it happened, and I was like, wow. I couldn't believe it. I was floored. I was just floored. Let me tell you something. Anybody that says these things don't matter are full of shit.
Yeah.
Look, they matter to a certain degree. They're not why we do it.
Right.
We don't do these things for awards. But to be recognized by a group of people, particularly a group of your peers and your fans, it means a lot, because it's not just the fans that are voting. You got your peers that are voting on this thing too.
Right.
And so a handful of my peers found validity in what I did that year, and which was tour like a madman as soon as we were able to. Yeah. I didn't have an album out that year, but boy, I think I could only think of two other artists that toured as much as I did last year, and that was Mike and Tab Benoit.
Yeah.
I mean, we hit the ground running.
Yeah.
We just hit it hard, and so it felt good to be recognized. That's awesome. And anybody that says it's not that big a deal, bullshit. It is a deal.
Yeah.
it's nice to be recognized.
Yeah, I mean, you work your whole life.
And if you're a nominee, you should be happy too, because you were among 5 of the people in your field that made an impact on the world for a year.
Yeah. No. Well, man, that's a big feat, and again, congratulations on that. That's a big deal, it really is.
Thank you.
No
I'm
problem.
very. Wait, let me find that little bad fella here. Hold on. He wants to make an appearance.
Yeah,
He's got something to say.
Let's see it.
Hey, babies. Yeah.
All right.
That's my boy right there.
That's it.
But I think they got my name wrong on this thing, but it's too small to recognize. They added an I, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Look at that.
Yeah, that's cool.
How you think? You like it? This one's heavy. This one's heavier than the one I won in 2020.
Oh, yeah?
It's got a bigger base. Wait, let me bring out his brother. This is his brother.
All right. I love it.
See? Yeah. You know what this is? This is a middle finger to people who have been hating on me all these years.
That's right. That's right.
It's like, in fact, I want to take this opportunity and use your media.
Go ahead.
To thank a group of people that I failed to mention in my acceptance speech.
Go ahead.
I want to thank the haters because you inspired me. You really did.
Good.
Some people, there's been this debate on lately in the last couple of years on who should be playing blues and who shouldn't be playing blues. And I had mentioned in my speech that Junior Wells had told me in a conversation I had with him years ago that I was going to have my own band someday, and it was going to be up to me and others like me to keep the genre alive.
Yeah. And
that's been my mission ever since. And ever since then, I've tuned out the haters. I used to let them get to me. I used to take things to heart when it came to people telling me I couldn't do this.
Yeah.
But ever since that conversation with Junior, I've tuned them out, and I've used their vitriol to motivate myself. And so I really, they're as vital to me winning this award as the people that supported me. So to the haters, nothing but love for you, baby.
I love it, man. I love it. You got to have haters. If you don't have haters, you're not doing something right. Right? And
that's right. And the bigger the target, the bigger the what's it? My friend Rochelle Colbert said it best. Was it the bigger the name, the bigger the target?
Yeah, there you go.
So I've drawn a few arrows at me in the last couple of years.
That's all right.
But that's fine.
Man, we didn't even talk.
Just keep on talking, babies, and I'll keep winning these.
That's right.
The more you talk, the more of these I'm going to win. So.
I was going to say, we didn't even talk about your time with Junior Wells. I didn't even mention any of that, man. Shit. I feel like I need to do that. So when
we could, we could talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about that. When you were first getting going with that, I mean, how did you feel? Like, holy shit, I'm in Junior Wells' band. Like, how did that feel for you?
Well, there was a series of holy shits leading up to that.
I'm sure.
I first met Junior through a mutual friend of ours named Gloria Pierce. She knew Junior from back in the 70s, back in the day in Chicago.
Yeah.
And they were quite close. They were good friends. And she told me he was playing at the Back Room in Delray on New Year's Eve, 1996, and invited me to go see him. And she told me to bring my guitar, and I was like, all right, I'll bring my guitar, but I'm not gonna push the. I was not a pushy guy.
Yeah. I'm
still not. Like I said, I'm the Dean Martin in the Sinatra in the Rat Pack thing. I'm just the guy along for the ride. Yeah. I said, I just want to enjoy the show. I don't want to push. Oh, sorry. I don't want to be pushy. So we get there, and I met Junior and hung out with him, and his first set started, and then his road manager came up to me and said, hey, I heard you play guitar. I said, yeah. He said, would you like to sit in with Junior? I said, I would love to. And he said, well, you better be good, because if you're not, he's going to embarrass you in front of everybody on the stage. He's going to embarrass you in front of everybody. Everybody in front of everybody. I said, okay. I said, look, and at this time I was working at the welfare office in Miami. And so I've had knives pulled out on me. I've had my life threatened, and I've been called every name in the book by my clients. So I was like, whatever, dude. This is nothing. This is like, yeah, I can handle it.
That's right.
Bring it on. And I got up, and so he brought me up on stage. I played with the band first, without Junior coming on, and did about 3 songs with them. And then Junior came up, and I did another 3 songs with him and the band. And I thought at that time that was my first holy shit moment ever. I was like, holy shit! And I ran up the street and called my parents at a payphone. They had a thing called payphones back in the day.
I remember them.
I remember putting a quarter in and calling my mother and telling her. I said, I just played with Junior Wells, and my mom's like, well, I don't know who he is, but I'm very happy for you. And I thought that was going to be it. I thought that was as good as it was going to get for me.
Yeah.
And then about a month later, his road manager, Michael Blakemore, called me and said, hey, can you fill in on some dates? I said, no problem. I'll take some time off. I was working at the welfare office. I said, I'll take some time off. So I took like a week off. Yeah. And I went to Buffalo, Cleveland, and Detroit with him.
Wow. I
flew up to Buffalo. Then I met the band in Buffalo. Did Buffalo, Cleveland, Detroit. Those were 3 holy shit moments in my life.
No doubt.
Went back home, thought that was going to be the end of it. I said, well, I could come back home and tell everybody, well, you kissed my ass for 3 gigs. I was in Junior Wells' band. Can't nobody tell me nothing.
That's right.
Can't nobody say nothing to me. And I thought that was it.
Yeah.
And then I maybe about a month or 2 later after that, I got called to play with him full time.
Wow.
And I had 3 days. I didn't have time to think about it. I had 3 days to get there, to get to Chicago.
Wow.
His road manager called me. Can you be in Chicago in 3 days? And I go, for what? To play with Junior full time. I said, let me think about it. Yes, I'll be right over. That's exactly what I told him.
I'm sure.
I was being sarcastic. I was like, let me think about it. Okay, I'm there.
Yeah.
I didn't know where I was going to stay or where I was going to live. I got. I played with. I had a rock band I was playing with then at the time, and I did a show with them. And the next day we had a going away party.
Wow.
And my friends in my rock band came to my parents' house, and we hung out. And I was on my way. I was on a plane that Monday, and I had a cousin who lived in Chicago who just got married, and they let me stay at their apartment.
Wow.
And I was supposed to stay there for a couple of weeks, but they lived in a loft. And if you've ever been in a loft, you know that lofts, the walls in the lofts don't go up all the way. Yeah. And I had a very severe snoring problem. And so they kicked me out after one day. My cousin was like, man, my wife can't get no sleep. You got to go. I said, all right, bye. And I grabbed my shit and I walked up the street. I stayed at, turned out the Junior's other guitar player had a place to had a apartment, crashed there for a day. And then I went up the street further, up on Clark Street. And actually it was Belmont. I went on Belmont Avenue, up the street, stayed at a transient hotel.
Oh, nice.
Right next to the L, the Red Line. The L is the elevated train.
Yeah.
The train system, the wonderful transit system in Chicago. I'm being serious. They got a great transit system in Chicago. But this motel was right next to the train that ran every 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And it was just like something out of the Blues Brothers. It was this shitty little transient hotel. It was like $30 a night to stay there. And there were hookers and junkies and hobos living in there. And I remember, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think there was a chalk line in my suite. and I could hear, I had to share the toilet with the guy next door who was less than, what's the word?
Clean.
Hygienically sound. Yeah. It was quite disgusting. But then I had a moment to think, and I had a little TV that was this big and had a wire hanger for an antenna. And I looked out my window and I could hear people screaming down the hallways. And I just kept thinking to myself, this is the greatest day of my life.
I made it.
I made it. Yeah, in my mind, I made it.
Yeah.
I was a Chicago blues musician. It's what I wanted to be since I was 15 years old. In fact, I see somebody I grew up with.
Really?
On this, that's joined the feed.
All right.
That knows for a fact that since I was a teenager, that's all I wanted to be was a Chicago blues musician. Right, Christy? Karmic Fruits. That's Christina.
Christina.
I've known her over 30 years.
Wow.
And she knows
yeah.
that's all I ever wanted to be since I was a teenager.
Wow.
So to me, I had thought I had made it.
That's awesome.
I was on top at that time. And I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to take a job that's going to make me miserable.
Yeah.
In fact, it can't be a job.
Yeah.
It has to be something I love. This is the last time I am turning my back on doing things that I don't love.
That's awesome.
And that's when my life changed. And it was an incredible experience that year with him. It really was. And then so I was with him about a year, and in a brief period of time, we saw the world.
That's so awesome.
I went to Europe, went to most of the United States. I missed out on the West Coast with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to, and when I wasn't playing with him, I was playing with little, bands in Chicago. And so I was with him a year, and then he passed away, and I stayed in Chicago another couple of years. I was there about 4.5 years.
Wow.
And it was an incredible experience living in Chicago. I learned so much. It's like getting your master's degree in the blues,
Yeah, no kidding, man. I bet you played with the most amazing musicians when you were doing that.
Most of them were very local heroes, unknown guys.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of amazing guitar players coming out of Chicago, and they had all the prime gigs sewn up.
For sure.
And there were guys like Chico Banks and Rico McFarland, Joanna Connor, Carlos Johnson. There was a tremendous amount of guitar players coming out of the scene there, and they had a lot of gigs sewn up. And so I was able to hang in there and get some work, but a lot of lesser known artists that should have been legends, guys like Lindsey Alexander and J.W. Williams and Charlie Love.
Now, these are local guys that you
guys like that. Yeah. Michael Coleman.
Yeah.
These were all guys that should have been out getting more of a name. But I did play with Phil Guy as well. I did some dates with Phil, with Buddy's brother. Mm. Somebody's asking me if I knew Tail Dragger. I didn't know Tail Dragger personally, but I knew friends that played with him. And when I was living in Chicago, I think Tail Dragger was still in the joint.
Oh, wow.
Because he had killed someone.
Listen, there's a question that somebody asked me here about. It says, will you be playing in, I can't pronounce it, it's a French word, Liarply?
Who? L'Arabe? That's not French. That's in Illinois.
I don't know. I don't know what that is. It looks French.
L'Arabe. L'Arabe is in Kankakee County.
Okay. Are you going to be playing there?
I don't think I'll be playing in L'Arabe this summer. I believe that the Friends of the Blues concert series has been done away. I think they had to close up shop.
Oh, wow.
And but I don't know if I'm going to be. I don't think I'll be playing L'Arabe anytime soon.
Where are you going to be playing?
But if I do, you'll be the first ones to know.
Where are you going to be playing in your next dates that you're doing with Zito?
Well, I'm not going to be playing with Zito for a while.
Oh, okay. I thought you guys were still going on with your
We are, but I'm going to do my band thing for the next couple of months.
All right.
Wait, let me look at my calendar and tell you where I'm going, because I really don't know. My brain is chicken fried, man. I've been on the road for 2 months, so I used to remember
I'm on your
gigs
site
I did 20 years ago.
June 17th.
Yeah, but I got my Google Calendar, which is even more in depth. So I'm leaving, like next week I got a couple of fly dates. Going to Henderson, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Actually, that's going to be a Blood Brothers show.
Oh, okay.
With Zito, the W.C. Handy Blues Festival. Mm-hmm. I'm flying out to that on a Friday. Then I'm playing with my band at the Franklin Blues Festival in Franklin, Pennsylvania
Cool.
which is outside of Pittsburgh.
Oh, awesome. All right.
Yeah,
Then you're off
yeah.
for a little bit.
And then I'm off for a little bit, and
Then you go to Charlotte.
then July 7th is the beginning of what's going to be a hellish tour.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to run from July 7th, starts in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it's going to run I'm going to go all the way to the Northeast, and then we're going all the way to California.
Awesome.
And then we're going backtrack all the way to Duluth, Minnesota, and then we're flying to the East Coast for a couple of days. I'm flying back to Duluth, and then we're driving home. This whole adventure is going to be about a month.
That's cool.
Month and a half. And then I have a few days off, and then we go to Vegas.
Cool.
And then we're going to Romania in
Life
September.
Life on the road, man.
Yeah, man.
That's
hopefully,
the dream.
hopefully Putin won't invade Romania. It's awfully close.
I mean,
we're awfully close, man. Romania's awfully close. Yeah. I mean, it's one of the border countries, but hey, look, man. You gotta.
What can you do?
You gotta bite life by the ass, man. You gotta take. If that's not closed, I'm going.
That's right. There's a question. Did you ever go to Lee's Unleaded Blues on the South Side?
No. I've been to Artis's though, but I've never been to Lee's.
Oh, okay.
Lee's been around. Yeah, that place has been around a long time. I think they reopened. They were closed for a while, and I heard they reopened.
Leo wants to know where you're going in California.
Okay, let me see.
Leah, stand by. We're going to tell you right now.
I'm going to tell you right now. We're going to be Long Beach
the LBC.
At Mulaney's, and that's going to be August 7th. Then August 8th, we're at the Maui Sugar Mill Saloon in Tarzana. I'm sure she knows these places.
Yeah.
I think she's in LA too, if I'm not right, Lee?
I think she's in there.
So I hope she comes by.
Yeah.
She's tremendous.
She's great. I heard her stuff. She sent me a bunch of stuff from her, and I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, she's an amazing talent.
I asked her to come on the show for sure. I want to talk to her. I have a lot of questions to ask Leah, actually, so I'm excited to talk to her.
JP's working with her too.
Yeah, she told me that. I thought that was pretty cool too. Did you watch the JP interview? You got to watch it.
I didn't. I'm going to though.
You got to watch it. Yeah, it's really good. It takes a little bit of time for him to get on because JP's a knucklehead. So,
JP is JP, man.
He's JP, man.
He's country, baby. He's country. It takes him a while to get started, but once he gets started,
she's in Northern.
Wait a minute. Are you in NorCal? Well, we're working on some stuff in NorCal.
LBC's her home.
Maybe Sacramento. We're working on some Sacramento. Keep an eye out.
Yeah, Long Beach is her hometown, she said. So she'll be there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You might fly down.
That's right. That's what. Long Beach is awesome. That Mulaney's Grill is a fun joint.
Yeah.
California is great. Cost of living is higher than a giraffe's ass, but
I know.
Oh, you're in Santa Cruz. Oh, yeah. Santa Cruz is nice.
That's awesome. I almost went to college.
I love California.
Santa Cruz. Who's your favorite unknown blues guitarist? All right, so we got questions now. Who's your favorite unknown blues guitarist?
Rico McFarland.
Rico McFarland. All right.
This guy played with everybody. This guy played with everybody. He's from Chicago.
Yeah.
He was one of the, he was a very in-demand session guy. Back when I got the job playing with Junior Wells, they gave me recordings to listen to learn from. And Rico played on 2 of Junior's albums in the 90s. Yeah, so I had to learn from him. And then I get to see him out in town playing.
That's awesome.
With various people. And he played with Lucky Peterson for many years. The guy's a freaking super freak.
Yeah.
One of the great unknown guitar players.
Yeah.
I've never the things he's just so effortless when you see him play. I would highly recommend anybody watching this to go on Google and Google that man's name.
Yeah.
Rico McFarland, and just witness the greatness.
That's awesome, man. I love that you're so complimentary toward him. That's great.
Man, I owe a lot to him and a lot of the players that I saw living in Chicago.
Yeah.
Melvin Taylor was another one, an amazing talent that I learned from and played with and worked for. and Chico Banks was another one. Those guys were like pushing the envelope. They were there were guys that were when I moved to Chicago, I had this set idea of what the blues was, and that was, it was in the box, straight, traditional, and then in the early '90s, I got turned on to Joanna Connor. Mm. And she amazed me. The things she did with the slide, she was pushing the envelope. It was still blues, but it was unlike anything I ever heard. It was rocking. It had more of an edge to it. And I was like, this is pretty amazing stuff. And then later on, I moved to Chicago, and I discovered a whole new crop of these young gun players. They were a little older than me, a little older than people in my age, but were still young, way younger than the old school guys that they were working for. And they were doing crazy shit. Yeah. They were doing stuff that I never thought was possible in the blues. And they pushed the envelope. And what's amazing is that the people that they worked for, the guys that they played for, like the Jimmy Johnsons of the world, the old Chicago guys, they loved them. Yeah. They didn't care that they, it's funny that the more contemporary and the more contemporary players in this genre get criticized the most. But man, I was around them all in the late '90s, early 2000s, and all the old guys that they worked for loved them. They loved their style of play. Those old guys, they didn't want us to play like them. They wanted us to take what we learned from them and tweak it and make it our own. Yeah. But when you go outside of that scene, there's this, oh my God, you guys are just you're too out there, you're too far. No, man. Yeah. These guys were changing the rules, and they influenced my playing a lot. So when somebody mentions a Rico McFarlane to me, or a Melvin Taylor, or a Chico Banks, man, I hold them in high regard because they influenced my playing a lot.
If you were to put your style like into a box like that, what would you put your style as? Like, what do you think you are as far as the blues is concerned? Are you more like a rocker blues? Are you more of like Chicago kind of blues guy, or what do you think you are?
I don't know. I it's funny because
you have so many influences. That's what I'm asking.
We're all. I think. And that's all of us as musicians. I think we're influenced by everything. For sure. Every piece of music that we listened to that gave us goosebumps. Right. I don't think it just can be limited to a set amount of influences. Yeah. You wake up and you buy your first Beatles record. Yeah. And that influences you. Right. And you buy your first Stones record and that influences you. Everything you listen to that you love is influential to you. Yeah. So it's hard for me to pigeonhole my style. It's hard for me to categorize. It's funny because people like the traditionalists think I'm too rock.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then the more contemporary people that listen to the more rock and contemporary, I think I'm a little more traditional than the average rocker. So I kind of fit in like the taint. Yeah. In between. So I'm like in the taint between the rock and the blues. Yeah, man. in terms of my style, and I've embraced it more. I've become more at ease with who I am now. I really don't concern myself with labels as much anymore. Yeah. Especially since winning one of these bad fellas. Exactly. Because my peers think that I'm doing okay. Yeah. That I'm all right. What I'm doing is my own, and if my peers, the people that I admire so much, think I have something to offer, then I really shouldn't concern myself with things like where I fit in the spectrum of the blues, whether it's more traditional or more blues rock. Right.
Well, listening to I Got Love, I would say that's like more of a blues rock record. I really would. That's for me anyway. When I listen to it, that's what I hear. But then listening to your other stuff, like your earlier albums, I would say they were more bluesy, blues oriented.
I would agree with you. Yeah. Yes, I definitely. I think that's a valid
Yeah.
It's valid what you said. I mean, when I recorded my first album, the guys that I was playing with were much more geared towards the traditional.
Right. Right. Well, you
And
can hear that too on your first
and,
album.
and oh, the first my first one, my first three albums
Yeah.
were definitely, and inside me was somebody that wanted to break out of that, I think.
Well, of course.
And then, but then, so then I had what happened. The changing point in terms of my sound evolving happened when I had to let my bass player and my keyboard player go in 2009.
Okay.
And I hired AJ Kelly to play bass with me.
AJ's awesome, dude.
I know.
He's
well,
awesome.
He was heads and shoulders above
so
anybody
good.
that I had played with at that
Oh
point.
My God, he's awesome.
Because my previous bass player, no disrespect to him, didn't have the tone that AJ had.
Yeah, AJ.
And I think I was overcompensating with the keyboard player because of it.
Maybe.
You know, and so I was like worried about what am I going to do? I need to get two players. Well, I got AJ. Let's just wing. Let's do the 3-piece until we find a 4th piece and see how that works out.
Yeah.
And we did my first gig with him as a 3-piece.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute. This sounds fat, just as fat or fatter than the 4-piece I had.
Yeah.
This dude's tone is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
And he just plays with this aggression.
Yeah.
Is that he had an attack that I liked that I hadn't had in my bands previous. And he totally changed the direction I went in. And I was in all the way with that. It was AJ that helped change my sound.
That's interesting.
And that's when it all changed for me. Then I put out 2 albums with him. So the next album I put out was Keep It On.
Yeah.
And AJ was on that record, and you could tell the difference between that and the previous record. And I remember the reviews on my record prior to AJ joining the band. I remember a reviewer saying Albert's like a reliable old car. It's solid. It's not gonna blow you away on a racetrack, but he's just steady, you know.
Yeah.
And then when AJ joined the band, the sound got a little more aggressive, got a little more edgy.
Yeah.
And it was a little more fun, to be honest with you.
I bet.
And people started to notice. Then I started getting the tag of, oh my God, he's not playing blues. He's playing rock. And I just had a little bit. All I had was an slightly edgier sound when AJ joined him.
Who's your drummer during that?
Bob Amzell was with me. He was my drummer for 15 years.
Wow.
And, he was kind of a very hammer and nail, straightforward player.
Yeah.
And then he was with me till 2012. No, he was with me longer than that. Till like 2016, and I got Brian Menendez to play drums, and he had who was more of a. Well, AJ left the band, and then I got a friend of mine that I was in a rock band with to play bass, and then he left, and then I started bringing in players from out of town. I had to start outsourcing musicians into Florida because a lot of great guitar players.
Oh yeah. In
Florida.
Yeah.
Not a lot of bass players and drummers.
Yep, that's right.
Very
a handful. Is it a little handful of them?
Very small.
Yeah.
And they already got the jobs, and the few that were around that were really good didn't want to travel. Okay. So there was very slim pickings.
Yeah.
And so I outsourced. I brought in. I had a drummer from Florida that I brought in, and then I brought in a bass player from Delaware. I started bringing in players from out of town, but I had to make sure that they could tour and that they were tour worthy players.
Right.
So the musicianship began to improve as well after AJ joined the band. I couldn't settle. I couldn't go back to the early band.
Yeah.
I had to go to another level, and now I'm happy to say that I'm definitely in a different stratosphere musically with the bands that I'm with now, with the
Who's the
guys that
guys
I'm with.
who are playing in your band now?
Well, I have Ephraim Lowell
Oh,
on drums, and
phenomenal.
he's a great drummer. He was with Roomful of Blues
Yep.
From 2006 to 2012. I knew him back then,
Yeah.
and he's the best drummer I've ever had in my band.
Yeah.
And I had Justine Tompkins on bass.
Mm-hmm.
She was with me for the last 3 years. She used to play with Todd Wolfe.
Oh wow.
Incredible bass player.
Yeah.
Like a female version of James Jamerson.
Wow.
Just very fluid player.
Eve,
And
my
Eve, my dude.
it says Eve, my dude. Bill Bass says Eve, my dude.
And so yeah, Justine was great, but she just left the band to start a family.
Oh, okay.
And so I got his buddy, Ephraim's buddy, Mark Garabian, bass player out of Rhode Island, that's going to cover this year and part of next year. But he's solid too. So I got to make sure I can't settle for ham and eggers anymore.
No.
At this point, I'm at a new level now.
There's too much to lose
and
right now.
there's too much to lose, you know. And things are getting better with me, so now I have to insist on getting people that can play,
of course,
everything.
Right. Well, when you're elevated,
and that's where I'm at now.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at now, and it's been wonderful.
Good. That's awesome, man. Diego Sanchez, he's on right now.
¿Qué pasa, Dieguito?
There you go.
I'm half Italian, half Cuban, so I got the Spanish. I know a few. I'm more fluent in Spanish. I'm not very fluent in Italian.
Really?
Not a lot of Italians in South Florida, you know, that can speak Italian.
That's right.
But in Miami, lots of Cubans. Lots of Spanish being spoken. Lots of Spanish being spoken.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. All right, Albert. I want to ask you this now. Do you have any like things that you want to say to the people that have been listening, and then also watching, and then also anything else to promote other than your tour that you just promoted before? Because we're going to wrap it up soon. It's almost 8.
I just want to tell everybody that's listening that I appreciate y'all supporting me all these years. And it doesn't go unnoticed. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for y'all.
For sure.
And I look forward to seeing everybody on the road this year. We're going to be on the road a lot starting in the summer. And I look forward to seeing y'all. It's going to be fun. And, give a listen to my new record.
Yeah, for sure.
If you haven't already, it's called I Got Love.
Mm-hmm.
And,
great
thank you for your support.
It is.
Thanks for everything.
Yeah, you guys got to listen to that record. I Got Love. It's a great record. It's a really nice rock and blues record. If you can jam to that. If you can't jam to that, you can't jam to anything.
Well, what are you going to do? I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but that's all right.
That's all right.
I mean, that's the great thing about the blues. It's a big, wide tent.
It is.
There's so much to like.
Yes.
And I like it all. I like the old. I like post-war blues. I like Delta blues. I like Piedmont.
Absolutely.
I like West Coast. There's so much to love. And if you don't like me, you're going to like something else.
That's right. All right, brother. Hey, man, it's been really awesome connecting with you again.
It's great seeing. I have a question for you, Greg.
Go.
Are you out there doing it? Are you singing, or what are you doing?
Not at all. Not at all.
Well,
yeah, man.
Come on, man.
I know. I want to get out there singing again, man. I do. Believe me.
Well, what's holding me back, man?
I got family life and stuff like that. I'm kind of settled into. It's one of those things. I mean, I like it. It's great, but I do miss singing.
Get the kids involved.
Well, my daughter goes to singing lessons, so she's all excited. She's 10 years old. She loves to sing.
Man, there's nothing better than playing with your kid.
I know. I'm sure.
It's the greatest thing ever. Trust me. Wait till you get. Well, I got grandkids, so I play with I jam with my granddaughter too.
That's awesome.
And it's the most awesome thing ever. Trust me.
I bet it is. I can't wait.
So think about it.
I will.
All right, good.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Thanks, bro.
No problem, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Anytime.
Thanks, bro. Thanks,
man.
Have a good tour next time, all right?
All right. I'll see you when I get back.
All right, buddy.
Bye.
Okay. Well, there you go, Albert Castiglia. He is a man of great talent. So I hope you enjoyed the interview tonight. I know I did. I learned a lot about this guy that I've known for several years. We've never actually sat down and chatted for a long time, so I'm glad we got to. The interview was about an hour and a half, and that was awesome for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Next week, make sure you tune in. I've got an interesting guest. He's a photographer and a musician out in California. I will be putting up some promo shots. He goes by Danger Cat Photography. So find him on my, oh, thanks, man. Albert's a great dude. Yeah, he is a great dude. He really is. Danger Cat Photography, find him, follow him. But Sunday, we're going to be talking to him about his photography. And also, he's a musician too. He just put out a single. So just make sure you tune in for that, okay, on Sunday. Thank you guys again for hanging out. It's the Absolutely Live interview. I'm Greg M. And I hope you have a great rest of the day and have a great week. And I'll see you next time.